on a crazy rainy afternoon, the podcast have already found a solution. We are coming to you right from the Conference of Comfort in the Fred BNB in Kisasi. It's a turn of another week, and which means we still have more rugby to talk about. And today, there's a cut we fed so well that he had to return. Caesar, welcome back to the sitting.
Thank you.
And the resident elite cat, safe from the Region 7's Nigos and party. Edwin, how you doing?
I need my voice back.
I sure will be able to hear you for the entire time we're here.
Man, pray to the Lord.
And in a special way, we are joined by chairman of the second most successful club in the country.
We are the most successful club in the country.
Yeah. I'll call my resident statistician to give me the details. But Dr. Stone Luggya of the Kampala Old Boys.
Thank you very much for having me, and looking forward to beautiful rugby discussions.
I actually want to start from that. Do you know that most of your fans don't know COBS is Kampala Old Boys? They think it is that thing in the zoo.
Yes. So Kampala Old Boys is an acronym of, COBS is an acronym of Kampala Old Boys. It was a team that got together in 1963. Rugby started around the 1950s. And the people who associated, it was usually divided against different lines, the white line and the black line. So most of the people in post-independence gravitated towards the black team, which kind of stayed and became Kampala Old Boys in 1963.
Caesar, what is acronym? Stone said that.
The short form.
The short form?
Yeah.
Abbreviation. See, you who went to those interview schools, you have to check and see if everything is
conveyor belt SS.
But gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining us on this conversation. And this is mainly going to center around Dr. Stone and your ascension into office and how it's come along, and of course a few difficulties that were in that run and everything. So you were the newly elected chairman of Kampala Old Boys, and I want you to take us through this electoral process, because of course you just didn't wake up one day and you're like, you know what, I think I should be chairman of the COBS. How did you get to wanting to be chairman? And
by default, I was in management of COBS when I came back from Impis around 2007. But when I started my masters, I stepped back and I said I cannot do management. So when I finished my masters in 2010, I was club captain. So I've been in the ExCom since then. In 2017, when my captain was leaving, he asked me if I'm ready to be chairman. And I didn't think I was ready at the time because of other commitments, personal and here and there. So it's not that I have not been within the circle. So this is almost 12 years of experience in the running the club. And when I decided, I told him I'll do the term because my colleagues had come in and expressed interest, and I told them I'm really held up with different things. So I told them I will stand in the next election in 4 years' time.
Now, exactly about that election, because I was speaking with Edwin sometime and he told me there was more than one time that votes were cast, and he thought he would be the lawyer you were running to for a petition. If in case there was need for a petition.
Yes. This was quite a disorganized election of sorts, but we decided for the sanity in the club, we let some things happen. We thought, and at some point had 3 avenues of voting, which was online, by proxy, and by physical presence. So on the day of election, somehow the online votes were not counted and were thrown off or were plugged off. So when there were 20 votes cast online and I had 15 and my opponent had 5. So when there was a tie, I clearly told the people organizing the election, if there's a tie, the online votes can simplify everything. Somehow it was disorganized and thrown off. So we decided to settle for whatever the recount takes.
You're talking about online votes, and this is where I want to bring in Edwin. Speaking about online votes and then in person, it takes me back to what was happening in the US with the mail system and then the physical votes. You've been in club management somewhere. How would you judge the process that the Kampala Boys used for their elections?
No, I think when it comes to online voting, the key issue is about credibility, whether the vote is authentic from the person who is actually voting. The nature of votes is that they should be secret in nature, so you can't necessarily say that once someone has claimed to have voted online, there shouldn't be any other way to authenticate the vote, because by then that person voting as such, the vote is deemed to be authentic at that point. So it comes to show that you need technology of sorts in clubs to be able to explore online voting, and I think it will become an issue. And also, Ugandans, if you use a proxy, you can never trust a Ugandan. He can just change. He can just change his ways and say, me, I voted. So maybe the alternative when it comes to online voting should be perhaps proxies who say that I am Edwin, I am in the US, and I am voting. I've appointed this person my proxy. My ballot should say I've ticked so and so as chairperson, for the proxy votes to be quite clear, despite the Ugandan nature of doing things.
Caesar, did you vote?
Yes, I did.
Online or both online and in person?
No, I was in person.
You're in person?
Yeah.
Did you vote for Dr. Stone?
No, I didn't.
You did not. Why?
Hey.
Listen, why?
Well, there were two candidates at the time.
Yes, Lutwaman.
Yeah, Lutwaman, Dr. Stone, and for me, still believe that Isaac had a better chance of running the club better. Still believe. But
you should be having reasons for that.
I do. One, I had seen it happen. And two, I believe in, and now I am relatively new to the club. I joined the club in 2015, so I'm relatively new to the club. But I believe that because when I joined in the time of Isaac as the vice chairperson and Rubas as a president, and most of the work was being done, no disrespect to Rubas, but most of the work was being done by Isaac, and he knew the nitty-gritties of a movement. We all worked together. I mean, Dr. Stone was the director of rugby. Impis blames me for buying players, yet I was conniving with Dr. Stone to buy these players. But
before you actually go very far, if you are conniving with Dr. Stone to buy Impis players, why aren't you on the subject?
You see, there's certain things where, one can handle, there's certain things where I felt he wasn't ready for, and that's why I didn't vote for him, because I felt Isaac had a better, I don't want to say manifesto, but better direction for the club.
Well, you've mentioned the word manifesto, and we are going to dive right into the manifesto. Dr. Stone, it is 8 to 9 months as you are chairperson of
8 months, yes. 8 months, yes.
The chairperson of the Kampala Old Boys.
Yeah.
And your CV has a lot of MPs. They are, getting it from one place to another. But I know there is Caesar and many other people who believe that probably the other candidate could have done a better job. So, and we are going to review your manifesto from in these 8 months. Let's start from the boxes you believe you've ticked in the 8 months. Yeah.
Well, my candidature came in at a tricky time. We were flying high with a sponsor, and we had to make do with cutting budgets significantly. When 2 weeks before elections, the sponsor pulled out because of tax issues. It affected some of the operations of the club, but the things that I primarily purposed to work on for the club, which was first and foremost increasing consistency. We had reached a point where we actually won, yes, but we had no inbuilt team from people you can say started from the junior level, came up, basically like our team of box in 2001 and 2002. So my strength was focused on the box team, and which we did. They went unbeaten the whole season, from having no team at the start to having the best team that beat all the best teams, and till boardroom things came in. But primary thing was rugby development for me, which is very key and sustainable. Secondly was try and steady the ship.
Allow me to cut you short here, about the rugby development and the box. Of course, we cannot skip the fact that there was that row between the box, there was Chambogo, and then there was Uganda Rugby Union. Yeah. That whole, should I say, mishandling of the entire situation. I know my land friend Edwin will have something to say about it, but please take us through what actually was happening behind those, like in the course management, because you the union required an independent system for box. In other words, independent of
I think
box.
it all lies on the floor of the union because the thing is, mismanagement was by the team handling that thing. It was very clear cut from the start. The email was sent. We were given 60 days to do replies. We said fine, but before that, we're not even sure we're going to be in the semi-final. Final. Why don't we first play that, then we get there? And they tell us draws will be done on Thursday. We need confirmation by Tuesday evening. Out of the blue, without involving the club at all, on Monday they do draws, and then after lunch we find on Twitter someone has sneaked in and who was beaten home and away without consulting the club. So we thought it was a bit of a mismatch on, I think, Ramsey and Kasasa, and we thought, so I sent a very heavy email. I thought I was a bit strong-worded because I thought it was disrespectful of guys who do rugby on the side. We have 8 to 5 jobs. We assume that you guys in the union should straighten up and be transparent. You don't tell us to send an email and by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, and you go ahead and do draws without informing us. So we thought, you know what, let's straighten the operations. And we didn't do it because we have a box, El Chambogo, but it was just for the better of rugby. We cannot have the same people in the union, the same mistakes year in, year out, and no one says anything. And then we push everything out the carpet. There's a time Cobbs, when we retired in 2009, they came up and banned us 2 points, then they banned the 3rd point for not apologizing. And we're like, what exactly is this? We're not running a handbag union, we're running a professional sport. You should be able to aspire to be professional. Sports is the biggest paying industry after movies. So you don't run a disorganized sport and you're saying you want to improve quality of care and services. So that's why Cobbs put the foot down. And I told my ex-com, I am not doing this for politics or frustrating Chambogo's run, but if next time they want to play, they should win all their games and be the legitimate person to be to the playoffs. And I told the chairman, we are not sure we're going to win the semi-finals or the finals. So let's first cross the Rubicon when we get there. Then we can then discuss these things.
Edwin, you are Chambogo Rugby. You have your defined system. And then there's this thing, at the back of your mind that box Cobb's second team. Sailors are a second team. Stallions are the Chadeno second team. And I'm assuming you know that when box are number one, they aren't going to play in the qualifier.
Assumption is keyword.
The assumption,
yes,
of course,
which is what the union needed straight
enough. How do you react to what Dr. Stone has said?
No, I think he's right. This was a union mess from the start. And maybe we should track back. The genesis started when there was a rugby space where the president came on. And for one reason, it was not recorded. I think for reasons like this. Now, the space, the president actually confirmed and said that if box is on top, they would not go through. He said it's quite clear that these things are like that and whatever. So now what happens is that they actually top and beaten and whatever. So now kind of everyone thought that box was not going to participate. I built your conversation with the union where you said that they told you 60 days or something like that, rectify
so
issues.
the fine print was missing. So the thing is, the document they sent wasn't clear on that. And I asked them to straighten it out next year. So that if you're a feeder side, even if you win, you're not going to participate. This document they sent that I signed in January, was very clear that it's an option of consideration. And plus minus, if we had a sponsor going forward, we would have thought about it because it's part of the long-term strategy. I was supposed to consider box getting promoted in 3 years, but then they played very well. But among other things, it was an oversight on their side. So even the chairman saying that maybe he had not read the fine print. But when you go back to the details, it's very clear-cut that the first person qualifies for the regional playoffs, which is what I think they've corrected now. So by next year, it should be streamlined.
It's actually a wonderful thing that we saw the union getting pushed, and in the end, the decision might not have made people happy because, we saw box pull out and Chambo was up in arms, and it could have been us, but I believe the decision was aligned properly, and going forward, we can be able to see good organization in the way Union is running these things. Caesar, I'm going to be coming back to you here because aside from Stone, you're the other person who knows a lot more than Adrian and I about the Kampala Old Boys. I had chance to look at the manifesto, and Dr. Stone was very vocal about his background in health and how that is going to be one of his key points in the to address players and injuries being taken care of, insurance and stuff, plus mental health. I want you to assess these 8 months he's been in office.
Specifically, the part of health of
Player
players.
health.
Well, how do I say this? I will try and speak what I see.
Of
I'm not stating it's factual or anything. I'll try and speak what I
Of
see.
course, he'll speak what you see, and he's going
And
to
he will
react.
correct or yes. Now, well, like he started earlier on, by the time he came into power, we are losing a sponsor. Most of the things that pertain to players' health, I mean, things like the medical kit, things like strapping and all, they are dependent on the amount of money that is in the club. So I don't want to come and crucify him if they are lacking, because I can tell you before, when we had a sponsor, we had our medical kit was always fully. And I want you to quote me properly. Dr. Stone's cronies used that medical kit. Dr. Stone's cronies, not him. Dr. Stone's cronies used that medical kit during the campaign. That the former leadership was using that medical kit to siphon money. And he didn't say this. I want to clear this.
Yes,
He as himself didn't say this. But his people, my lord, they said that Isaac and used to use the medical kit. And then you find yourself that the players sometimes, most weeks don't have strapping. Game day, I'm okay. But you might find during the week, players don't have strapping, don't have things like painkillers and all the things they use. And then you some training sessions, you will not find a doctor because probably they're not remunerated or they're really busy, because these doctors are really busy. So far, when it comes to medical kit, it is not as good as it was, but maybe because of the money constraints. As regards insurance, that's a very tall order, and he will explain that. I wouldn't come and say after 1 year of his tenure or 8 months, he has failed to get players insurance. The union has failed to get insurance for players. I
Since
can't crucify
inception.
him over just a club. So I don't want to speak so much about insurance. What I can tell what has happened, I almost attend every training session. Almost attend. I need to get alive. I attend every
Your
training
life is
session.
scopes, and it's actually about that.
And you can tell sometimes players don't have strapping. This 7th season has been a bit challenging, and sometimes you don't have strapping. You see them, Caesar, can you get us some strapping? You see other guys coming in to help, and that's not entirely on Dr. Stone.
Look, reason why I brought it up is because it was one of his strong points in his manifesto.
Yes.
He spoke about it on more than 4 fora.
Yes, I was going to the few things I've seen that he has done. I want to believe scans are more accessible now. I want to believe scans are more accessible. The money might be an issue sometimes, but because of his stature as who he is, scans are more accessible. Hospitals are more accessible for our players. Maybe the hindrances that will be, we don't have the money to pay for these scans, and he can't keep doing everything because we don't have a sponsor. But it's very hard to gauge the health part because the club has been constrained with money. And contrary to what everyone believes, I will never crucify someone for not using their personal money for club activities. That's their money. So it's very hard for me to gauge. I will tell you he hasn't done well, but you can't say someone hasn't done well when he doesn't have the tools to help him to do well. Yes. So on health, I will not say he hasn't done well or what. Yes, the health of the general health in the club, the strapping, the medical kit, it's a bit of a struggle, but it's not his fault.
It's the money.
Yeah, it's the money.
Yes, medical is my strong point. I told I've been there from 2007. I run the best medical service in the Uganda Medical Society. All our staff were either doctors, medical students, and physios. So when I kind of got busy in 2017-19, I kind of stepped back and I left one of my mentors to run it. But medical is expensive. The thing is, I won't talk about the financial mismanagement and everything that happened. I was not part of it. But medicine is expensive. My friend Byron here was injured and excited about surgery. We had no sponsor. We had 40 million, and his surgery, I think, was 12 million and 13. Some of the XCOM guys were like, we can't spend a fourth of our money on surgery. We have 24 weeks to go. We don't. So I had to make a decision. So I said, no, I talked to some people in Kosovo. They came down a bit, and I used to work at Kosovo before when I finished my master's. So they discounted for us a bit, and we covered that. So for me, primarily, the player welfare is significantly important. And player welfare is not only playing, because if you get injured in rugby, unfortunately, you become useless. And no one will take care of you. You will fall off the radar. And so the visibility you get in rugby is by being on pitch and performing very well. So when the second player tore his Achilles tendon, that's Blair, I couldn't squeeze the ESCOM again, so I had to take the onus on myself and take care of his surgeries in Mulago, which was again subsidized, but still a big chunk of it came out of my pocket. And now he's on recovery to come back in the Uganda Cup. That said, we had a season so much managed, which actually got to mismanagement, and we had started abusing the system where players would pick kit on Thursday, and we would take bandages, K-tape, each one is taking K-tape home, straps on Friday night, comes back, and we have two teams, actually three teams, the girls, the boys, the what. So for something that was managed before, that was put, so usually you to buy a kit at the beginning of season, and the medical doctor comes with it every training session, so deducts on it. Now we're paying the same amount we're paying for the beginning of season every 2 weeks because it was being used. So part of the cost cutting was that. So we realized we cannot have as much medical kit at our disposal. But primarily, so medical kit is medical system and management, not only the physical strapping and everything. So it comes to timely intervention, recognition of the injury, resuscitation and imaging, which we have very good. So one of the COBS members is a radiologist in Zambia, and he's given us any discount in terms of arthroscopies and imaging. So it's and Rugby Medical Center came on board to give us discussions out of this. We haven't yet officially come out as a partner, but they are giving us a 20% discount on all imaging, because sometimes people need to have CT scans. Each CT scan is 250,000. So you've come to chill and you have 2 CT scans to pay. That's 500,000 going just in a flash in 30 minutes after the game. So yes, each club, running a club is not for the faint-hearted, and also takes a big chunk of your pocket. So you have to balance lots of things. I won't refuse to give the person a CT scan because they need it, and yet it's not anywhere in the budget of the week. Yeah, so there are challenges, but at least I am sure the systems on paper we have. We have three physios, 2 doctors, myself as the overall consultant in case they have anything, but and URMS template. When we formed URMS in 2004, we had a vision. We had many doctors playing rugby, me, Guma, Were, and Martin Otiek, and we said, let's do something for rugby. We didn't know what would happen now, but even the Kenya Rugby Union approached me 2 years ago and asked for a constitution. They have never heard anything about medical preparedness and what they call emergency medical services to resuscitate patients before, even funds, because the stadium management the URMS does on match day is very significant, because it prepares all the 10 or 15 medics for the day for preparations, not only on pitch, but even anyone who collapses. So medical for me is a big thing, and I think we've moved very well. One of my proteges, Kalans, is now in charge of consultation on that World Rugby. He's a medical trainer.
Oh, that's quite amazing. Edwin, he's talked about discounts in terms of alleviating the club's monetary burden, and I want us to speak about this. Very many clubs actually always just looking out for the money, right? So what lessons should we be picking from Matsuna say, because he's using his network and doing some capacity building as well as getting some good deals. What are the lessons for us here to pick union and also the
Yeah.
clubs around the country?
Maybe before I answer that, I'll just say that because he's a doctor, he gives medical. Now me a lawyer, what do I do? This is my club in legal trouble. You're giving guys ideas.
No, it depends. Capacity
Yeah.
building. What
So
what
yeah, also as warriors, also have some lawyers. We don't have doctors, but we have some lawyers. Yeah. It goes to show how you have to have modern day solutions to modern day problems. Rugby as a sport, however entitled as fans we are, seeking all these forms of sponsorship and whatever, it comes down to whether people find it viable to invest money in you. As and until they do that, you have to find a solution to run a club to keep people playing. I mean, we go to see guys playing. If you say this guy is injured, they're like, he's injured, and stories start from there. So the union and maybe clubs, they could pick from this is that we need to find solutions to things like that. That is leveraging our professional networks, our networks in clubs like Rotary. I mean, all your circles that you can have to get some sort of benefit for your players, especially. If I believe even if you don't have a sponsor as a club, your main focus should be on player welfare, because at that point, players seem to look for the money. So if you don't take care of them and you just throw the excuse of we have no sponsor, it becomes very difficult for you to have that player retention in your club. So the such aspects of networking and having your professional circles be able to input some benefit for players in your clubs as you steady your ship and sorry for using pirates language, they lost, but anyway, to steady your ship and find your grounding where as and when a sponsor comes on is very important. So it shows that, I mean, for someone who can do this, I don't even think on my tab I can even do half. So it's commendable, and maybe other sports unions, they all have their stories that they have done in different ways. School fees, medical bills, even taking care of children. The list is endless, which shows that we need to find an avenue where this dripping out of money of my pocket should reduce, and at least players should have a suitable, landing when it comes to club affairs.
Last time since I was here, the conversation was so much about structure, and we tried to break it down and everything. Today it is veering a lot towards player welfare, and this is going to bring me to something that we've seen so much online lately. Rugby fans are calling for unionizing amongst the players. I want to hear what rugby fans online are calling for unionizing amongst the players. I want to hear your take on that.
Oh well, I can comment to player welfare. For me, it's everything. For me, we just since Cobbs is a main point here. After the election, we dwelt so much on the aftermath of the election and the two teams, the two parties that were going against. We forgot the most important part of that club, the players, and that's where I can tell you I was on my feet looking for every single mistake Dr. Stone was making and his leadership. Mm-hmm. Every single mistake, and I forgot the real reason why I support Cobbs, and those are the players. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I just channeled my energy until when the time comes for me to do politics, which I'm not really good at. But for now, I have to channel everything to player welfare. And I want to go on record and say thank you to Dr. Stone, because the work they have done in a medical society, they are not paid anything by Rugby. Nothing. All doctors in all other sports, all the physios, they're really not taking, unless when you get to the national sides, they're not paid anything, but you see them getting out of their way in all those clubs trying to, and I would like to thank them for that, to thank him for that on their behalf. That's one. But player welfare, and for me, player welfare is not about money. It's about presence. It's about, are you there with them? Are you even, Cubs has won trophies before when they don't have sponsorship. Cubs has won trophies before when they don't have sponsorship. But how did they do it? Okay, rugby has changed a bit. Dr. Stone's time they could play because they were rich chaps. They could play. And now players depend a lot on rugby. So yes, times have changed a bit. But my point is, in whatever we do, whatever every club will do, I'm speaking about my club, in whatever every other club should do, the center of everything we do for the club should be the players. Sometimes people say players are entitled. I mean, they have a right to be entitled
putting their bodies
because
on the
we
line.
sit and watch them break their bonds for us to make noise. They have every single right to be entitled. And for me, that's what I want to point towards. I don't know about the unionizing of the players. What I want is for the players to take center stage in club. No politics, no differences, players. Everything we should do should veer around players. If we are looking for sponsorship, what is the player going to get? What's the cut the player is going to get? If we are looking for insurance, how is the deal going to affect the player? Because at the end of the day, I will go to Legends, pay 5K, watch rugby, go back
It's
home.
not 10K.
Yeah, 10K. Go watch rugby, go back home. But then Byron will show up, warm up, break his leg, go for surgery. We say we've taken him for surgery. It's not like surgery, they will look at him and they will heal. Nah, they're going to cut him, they're going to mend him, they're going to cut him again. So for me, I want, moving forward, for my club, for my leadership, for everyone to center more about players. When you center more about players, and everything else will fall in line. Dr. Stone can be my witness. I can call him every now and then about player welfare, about which coach is going to coach our players, what the players don't have allowances here, and I'll never call him over, which was his biggest manifesto, getting us a stadium, a pitch. I'll never call him about that because for me, it's a big thing for Cubs, but it's not a big thing for me because I mean, these players are more than anything. So the other chaps of his leadership can work on the player while he's looking for, as long as the players are okay. For me, that's my biggest issue.
Maybe on unionization. How do I say it? Rugby, the rugby players in Uganda are a bit polarized. There's a lot of difference. However much they play the same sport, and they get the same injuries, they make the same tackles, they score the same tries. They kind of have their differences in one or the other. You could say maybe it's because of their clubs, the Chadodo, Legends, Kings Park, whatever, Entebbe, Impis, whatever. So to get all those guys on board is going to be a very big problem. It will take like 3 years to get them on board. What I would recommend, free legal advice, by the way, you get leaders from different clubs, and it should be independent of chairman. These should be players themselves who will come and sit down and make a round table of sorts of players, preferably 2 from each club, and sit down and work out the modalities of how they can get together. Because we will always shout this, unionize, but at the end of the day, if they do not make those overt steps, they're not going to go anywhere. And at the end of the day, they need to be strong. They need to get leaders, because the leaders are the ones who are always compromised. Yeah, the leaders are the ones who are always compromised. They'll tell you that, yeah, we are going to agree on a unionization plan, but this guy came and told me that we can't do this because if we do this, the sponsor is going to go away. So you need guys even who cannot be necessarily leveraged out of an aspect of unionization with their fellow players. So it comes down to the players themselves. Are they ready to do it? Are they ready to take on, okay, not in a violent way, but are they ready to take on the establishment? Because I'm telling you, if they actually make steps to do so, it will obviously, however good unionization is, people in management will look at it as a way of trying to be violent, trying to advocate for rights that make them look bad. So that's they will not see the benefit that comes with it. Even if they put a constitution with 10 objectives, the other 11th objective, I'm sure, is to shout for money. And that is what guys in management don't want to hear. So they will fight it however much they can. They will dedicate resources to fight it.
But
Dr.
you have a point about that. We when I played my first cup in 2003, my one of captain then was Robert Seguia.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. He was on fire, and I think he brought it up from, I think Ian Walker and some seniors were like, you know what, you guys have been playing rugby for long. Please unionize and do something. And he went about it with vigor. But like you said, if you don't hold your sway, first the management will look at it like you're paying for more money and straining them. So, as usual, they started cutting clips. The guys in the TV Pirates were like, we're not happy about, we are content with the status quo. Next thing, the next year, he's dropped as captain. I think Magona comes captain, and he died the death. Next time I hear about it is when I think I was retiring in 2011, but I didn't take it so serious because, like you said, the bigger picture has to be the benefit it is to the players, and even if it's 10 points, it shouldn't be a threat to the union because the FA has players association that advocate the 2099 World Cup or 2003 World Cup. The captain of England pulled out the whole team. I think a few months to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Until Martin Johnson led the sit-down strike until England Rugby pulled up their socks and paid all their dues and contracted the professional money to the England Rugby team. That's how they went on and I think won the World Cup. I think yes,
Yeah.
but the year before there was ruckus in England Rugby. But the players sat down and said, "No, these are peanuts. We can't play like this. We need more money from the union if we're giving you our time and our attention." So there's ways you can improve and advocate for player welfare, but it has to come from the players and not driven. Because that time it looked like it was a Chadondo thing. When Sogi was dropped, it was hushed, and then it died the death. But it's something that the current players should do for themselves and the next future generation of players, because rugby is not anything you play for a long time, and if you don't have structure that guides and governs, will always dance to the tune of the union and will not be hold them accountable. But it's something they should consider going forward.
Caesar looked into our notes and spoke about our next, our next point for. Your manifesto talks about getting cops from legends because for the past number of months we've seen that legends management isn't so happy with Uganda Rugby. There have been a few events not going their way. So and your manifesto says that you want to take the Kampala Old Boys away from that place.
Yes.
So I want to know how.
Yeah, we've made so much progress, and part of the issues I was telling some of the fans who were making noise, I'm like, we have every 12 months we report back to the members, and that's going to be done at the AGM. But we already have identified 3 different sites, one in Kulambiro, one in Kawempe, and one in Busukuma. So we just need. Kawempe. Yes, you've seen Kawempe. So we have enough sites, but there's a 4th one also coming. But that's the university hospital that's going to be built in Katalemo, and I'm the project coordinator. And part of the stadium, I want to earmark it for rugby. But there are 4 options that I'm going to explain to members. They obviously come with financing, which is our biggest challenge. Until we get a sponsor, I can't, cause like the Kulambiro land is almost $1 billion shillings to pay. They're 4.5, 5 acres, but it's almost $1 billion shillings to pay what they call it. When they give you 19 years lease or 29 years lease, so no one will come if you don't have a sponsor. So all these things, they're moving parts, but we have good enough 11 acres somewhere else in Busukama and Kawempe, but also we discussed with one of the guys who's the latest Cobs fan, Amos Wakesa, and he's already doing a pitch and a stadium in somewhere else 135 acres, just 35 kilometers out of Kampala. And he has a stadium, but he's going to be at international standard. So we're still thinking about different options. But yes, that primarily is one of the drivers. But among other things, we have to straighten up is club affairs. So we will report to the members at the AGM, which may be in November, December.
Caesar, Pirates going to Bulgaria has built a different rugby community there. So let's say Cobs were to go to Kawempe or 35 kilometers from Kampala like this thing. How do you see this helping your club? Or
it will help the club greatly. Greatly. Having a stadium, pitch of your own, we will talk about revenues. We'll talk about how many revenues you'd get from, like you said, we pay 10K to watch Cobs play at Legends. and all that money goes to legends. Yeah, how much more would you couldn't even say get collection every weekend will be in charge of player welfare, and the money would be enough. So having a home changes everything. And I hope, I dream, I know, even when I hope all these plans that Dr. Stone has, even when he leaves power, he can help whoever comes into power after his tenure is done to guide them, because it's the biggest thorn we have as cops, not having a home to call around. Every now and then you hear Danny wants to sell legends. Danny has sell legends. November they're chasing away people from Kings Park. People from Kings Park keep mocking us.
What did you want to say exactly?
You're trying to sneak it in.
If I was ranting, I would have said it. People from Kings Park keep mocking us that they're going to chase us away from legends, and then we'll pay Busulu to them. It's a bit. But so if ever he achieve that, it will be what we call a landmark achievement, and we hope it would change the course of rugby of Cops as a club. It would be amazing. It's what everyone dreams of. Yeah.
Um, I didn't want us to like you so much, so I think I'll ask this final piece. Dr. Stone, you're a departmental head at work.
Yeah.
You are right now Cops chairperson, and at home people call you daddy. So how are you going to be juggling all these things? Because I know on Saturday we keep saying Saturday's Rugby Day, but I'm sure later ones want to see that on Saturday as well.
We all have, yes, I've been doing this for quite some time, so it's not news to me. I strike a balance. We all have 24 hours, how we plan our time. So if it's work time, it's Monday to Friday, it's strictly work time, and maybe evenings will be for rugby. Then the weekends, you'll obviously partition your time. In the morning, you'll be the family and kids, and you tell them not to look for you after 4 p.m. on Saturday p.m. So,
But you know kids never listen.
yeah, so you'll get a few WhatsApps here and there, but you'll say we shall finish all the discussions in the evening. But yes, so it's a crazy juggle, yes. But I learned one thing about management: it's delegation. So if you have a strong team behind you, you don't have to go doing all these things, which was part of some things guys were saying in the campaigns. I'm like, you don't expect the chairman to come and sweep legends or wash kit with the Audi. So if you have a team manager that does the job efficiently and tells you A, B, C, D and reports back to you, if you have a medical doctor telling you we have these x-rays to do, these CT scans to do, then it makes it easier for you to coordinate even when you're not there. If the coach tells you these players have this issue, you address it. So it's really delegation. And again, I was with Ian Walker, who's a very good friend, and former chairman Chadondo. He said, don't let delegation do the work to an extent and build teams, because you don't want the chairman to be worrying about kit that is not washed. Yeah, that should be the team manager's job. There's people that have been there. That was stuff they did long time ago. You don't want the chairman to be worrying about bandages that are not bought. Yes, you facilitate that, and the team manager and treasurer and the medical people will sort that out. If there's an injury to sort out, then you can help the club in that direction. So sometimes having a very good, strong team that is working and focused on the club, then you can have these things done. I was in Impis, we didn't have much organizational structure, but part of working with sponsor then, Hima Cement and their media age, helped me realize that, and we ran the biggest tournament in 2006, which gave us the money to start the beach of Impis. I would have bought a car and left in peace, but I said no. Let me leave it there. But it woke up my eyes, and I started this from 2000.
I didn't buy a car.
So no, it was it. You should know the story. But Abu Mayanja was my treasurer. He's a Cops fan now. But delegation and key. We'd start planning for the tens 8 months earlier, and we knew who's going to be where, which stall is going to be where, and I didn't have to come on the day and worry about how things are going to operate. So delegation is key. That's how I struck my balance.
Edwin and Cesar, I want you to prepare your final nuggets in a minute each for Dr. Stone, but as we summarize this, there are 4 months left, or let's say 4 months left, until you are being held accountable for the first 12 months. What should the COP stakeholders be looking forward to in that meeting?
primarily we'll give an account of what we've done from the whole year, because it's not been easy. Well, there's been noise being made left, right, center, but no one is giving the fact that we've run 6 months without really stressing anyone and asking the funds, but we still need the funds. Like you told you, some of the COBS funds can't get entitled, and they'll not ask because of the club, but because they want to look for the negative of Dr. Stone. So you accept and take all these things. But my manifesto is clear. The things I've done are there. On the pitch side, we still have challenges. We hit a bump on our team. Took us to poor starts and everything, but I've been in rugby so long to know that there are 4-year cycles. You can't stay at the top for 3 to 4 years for long. So you hit a bump, then pick up. How you pick up counts. Some years, some clubs take over 4 years to pick up. Some take 1 year. So I'm not oblivious of the fact that maybe after the success, we shall have a few speed bumps. But as long as we structure ourselves very well, definitely, I'll be explaining these things to them, and according to that.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the dynamics of club politics. This is the first we've had. We usually have union politics. Now we have decentralized it to club politics. It shows that one, that sacrifices are really made when it comes to aspects of leadership in Ugandan rugby. And now the question becomes, how do we structure clubs in a way that clubs don't necessarily have to, leadership in clubs is not really one of a cash cow that takes your money. I mean, he says he's a family man. Now you go and say that, this money is for this guy's injury or something like that. So it shows you that leadership is a mantle that, if taken, you have to be hands on deck and work with a team that can help you achieve your goals. And then it also comes down to aspects of fans being over to buy into your vision and seeing you succeed. Because at the end of the day, as Cesar said, it's for the players. We are here because of the players, not because of fans. Fans can come and go, but players will always remain. So it shows you that leadership and fans and players are all together. They have to work as a team to work for the team to win on the pitch.
Well, my last remarks about this are what I asked Dr. Stone personally as Caesar and as a Cops fan. He's big on delegation, as I've noticed. He's big on delegation. All I ask him is he reins in on his team, because the chaps he delegates to work sometimes. Gosh Almighty! So I need him to rein. I need him to rein in on his team. You will find a situation where fans are the ones talking on behalf of the players. We have a club captain. Yes, he's busy and he's going through a lot and work and all, but I need him available. And communication. He needs to improve communication between the club, and I want to call fans entitled. I don't want to use the term entitled fans. A fan is a fan. And let's say members of the club. We need to improve communication between our leadership and the club. I want to talk as much as I can so that I don't wash my dirty linen. What I ask are 3 things. 1, improve communication between the leadership, and let's not wait for the AGM, because there's so many things that are happening. We had a team. We had Cops sending out a team that is less, not as strong, a weak team because of issues here and there. Let's improve simple communication. Let's improve communication. We all know we are struggling as a club, but we are picking up because of this whole sponsorship stuff. But we are picking up. Let's have better communication. 1, 2, rein in on his fellow leaders, because when he's on, it seems everything revolves around him. And if anything, a problem comes, chairman. If something good happens, the excom. You get it? When it's good, excom. When it's not, it's the chairman. And we have a right to attack the chairman until he reins in on the chaps he delegates to. And lastly, please, let's take care of our players. Everything else can be delayed, but anything regarding the players cannot delay. And there we shall fight until kingdom come. Thank you.
We're suggestion box today.
I can. So, my primary assets are the players. And when the outgoing guys involved them in politics, I admonished them and said, "This is the worst thing you'll ever do." But they went ahead. I said, "Fine, we can play this game." And you're being economical with the truth, but let's not go online with our dirty linen. Otherwise, the issue comes in academia. We have disagreeing, diverging points of views.
Yeah.
That mean you don't respect the other opponent. If and I've told this with the people who I try to give an ear to some people, and then I realize stepping back is the best option because you reach out to them and you say, "What is the issue?" Someone is a fan, has never worn a jersey, and says the coach you selected is not worth it. I'm like, but he's been assistant for 3 years. He has won all the games. Cobs. What are you using to base that on? So you try to explain the point, then they say no, but you see the players didn't vote for you. You then realize you're actually going into petty politics.
Yeah.
So which is what and some people don't know how to take it. Some of the people who will not tolerate this discourse, which is disrespectful, they'll go out hands place. But I'm not going to fight all the wars. So if you're discussing in a bar about rugby and Cobs, you carry on. But as long as if you have a genuine, logical discussion and a solution, like the noise which has been happening, I asked, what is the solution? You've not done anything for 6 months because something has come up. All the Harambes have been there for almost 10. You say you're going to do a party for the team, nothing. But you're the first to make noise that there's no allowance. Yeah? Allowance of last year. So there's lots of politics that I choose to step out of. And the bigger picture for me is the players who are my assets and the club. Because if you start throwing stones at all the dogs on the road, you'll never get your direction. So you have to steer clear of some things. And the bigger picture is rugby, development of rugby. Cobs is a pedigree club. If we start going down to Chikubo and Owino discussions of throwing handbags left, right, center, that makes sense. So you look at the bigger picture, and I choose intentionally not to involve. Those are players in their own right, not my people, not my cohorts. They're you people sorting yourselves out. Which discussion should be encouraged because, like you said, the players are entitled, but also the fans should be entitled. So these things are deliberations, but if it diverts us from our primary goal, which is being the best club in the country, then I step aside and I focus on what drives me to better the club. So there are challenges that can be there, but like you said, if we have teams that work, for me is what counts. I prefer results. If you have a challenge and you get a solution, I'll listen to you. But if you come and you're off tangent, then you really don't merit my time.
Dr. Swan, it's been wonderful having this conversation with you, and I can assure you that we are going to be calling you back very soon.
Without a doubt, we need to discuss proper rugby things.
Whatever happens in Cops, we'll be calling you to assess and give us the ins and outs of every deal. But thank you for sparing your time and joining the Fat Cats here for this podcast. I believe Caesar
is itching. Please, we cannot leave this podcast without talking about last weekend, guys.
No, Caesar has a point. Caesar has a point. The boys brought success back.
Last weekend, second.
Whoever invited Caesar, we are going to.
Caesar, finish. Caesar, I'm with you on this one. Finish that statement.
Yeah, we have regained our home. Yeah. Back. Kings Park is back to its owner properly, and we'll never go back again. And we beat Axe Gang properly.
The most successful team at Kings Park.
And the fans and the management for everything they did for us to get back. Wait for Fort Porto. Shaking that table teams walls. They will fall.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Caesar and Dr. Stone, thank you for making the time to chat about Cobs. And I'm sure as things do change in the club, we'll be calling you back for more insight. Edwin, thank you for joining in as always. And if you've been watching, I've been in the comfort of the Federal BNB. Of course, after here, we'll have a few things to eat and cool down our throats. You can also be part of this enjoyment. Come to Chisasi and we're sure you'll have a good time. Thank you for watching Fatcast Podcast. Until next week.